Эта песня называется Just a Joke.
Yo,
What's good?
what's going on, Wisconsin?
You know, just up here freezing. It's so cold outside.
I do not envy you, sir. But
But
we are here with another Nerdcast Podcast. I'm your host, Sutton. And as we just said, Wisconsin Johnson is right over there freezing his ass off.
always a pleasure. What's good, A&E family? We should have a pretty solid session here because we came up with some really solid topics and they're wide spanning.
Yeah, you know, the fun usual topics of NFL and NBA, you know, a little bit MVP candidates, you know, power ranking stuff. You know, should be pretty fun. Should be pretty fun to discuss. And then at the end, we got a fun new little segment that Wisconsin came up with. You know, we had our top 8. I know it's a weird number. Our top 8 movie twists. So that should be interesting. I'm interested to see what he got. You know, I was going through a bunch of movies trying to think about it, and there's just so many movies I forgot about. So, you know, I kind of dug deep for that one. But so I can't wait to get to there.
I mean, some of mine aren't movies. Like the last 3 of them aren't.
Okay. Well, that's cool
So
too. You know, I thought about veering off, but I started seeing that movie list and I was like, oh man. So it came out real easy. You know, a lot easier than picking the top 5 NFL teams right now.
that was weirdly difficult. And that
Expected that difficult. I was like, let's just, you know, let's get this easy topic. You know, I've been in dad mode, taking down Halloween decorations, putting up Christmas decorations in the tree. You know, I've been busy, so I was like, let's just do the top 5 teams in the NFL right now. And surprisingly, it was not as easy as I thought.
No, it was not because like just the way things have been going like recently, it's just like man, this is like an interesting season because obviously like you know Eagles are the standout, but then after that it's like they can kind of go any way.
Yeah, I mean, every week, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I feel like it's kind of the same for most people. We get the same feeling across the fan base with the NFL. Like you see the lineup of games for Sunday and you're like, man, not that exciting. And then you're like, so you know, if you're like a family person like I am, you might be like, I might miss some of these 1 o'clock games or something. And you're like, what did I miss? Something you hear everybody's going crazy because
Right.
game that's way more intense than it ought to be. And I'm missing it.
That's where NFL Red Zone is just like the best thing ever. Like if you're not like if you're more than like a casual fan or you're like a fantasy football player like you and I are, like NFL Red Zone, it's just so nice when they're like, here's like the quad box to show you the 4 games that are going on right now. But we're gonna cut to this Red Zone thing that just happened because it was either really cool or really funny.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I do. I'll, you know, check Facebook or Twitter or something. Like a couple weeks ago, we were at the zoo. And, you know, I was like, all right, you know, there's a couple games that are on. The Eagles play at 4. You know, I can miss some of these things. You know, I saw somebody on Facebook said something's going on. So I just popped it up on my phone real quick while we were at the zoo. You know, bing, bang, boom, real quick.
Yep, just super easy. But then it's convenient for people like me who are Bears fans where it's been rough. So sometimes we just want to step away for a little bit.
Yes. I am fortunate enough to be an Eagles fan this year, which is not, you know, something we can say every year. Usually we're stressing about something during the season. But, you know, we're doing good, even despite that loss to the Commanders. A lot of, I wouldn't even say a lot of people, mostly Cowboys fans and Commanders fans are, trying to rub it in our face and trying to make us feel bad about being 8-1, which is not going to happen. I don't care how easy the schedule has been. When's the last time somebody's went undefeated despite the difficulty of their schedule? Like, it just doesn't happen. Even going 8-0, that doesn't happen a lot as well.
Right.
So, I'm still going to wear that with pride, and I still believe we'll get the number 1 seed in the NFC and get the bye and have the easy road to the Super Bowl. But let's go ahead and jump into these top 5 power rankings. You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I will gladly go first.
Let's do it.
Yeah, like we said, it was like the first couple pretty obvious, at least for who we are as individuals, but then we both struggled a little bit with like the last 2 or 3. But my picks, so number 1, I have the Eagles, because dominant. They just dominant. I have Jalen Hurts on my fantasy team, and he's been doing great for me. So I will, yeah. And then for number 2, just for the way like this game went down against the Bills the other day, I'm gonna go with the Vikings.
The Vikings at number 2. Ooh, that's
they have been a very impressive team. Like, sure, Kirk Cousins has had his weird games. What was it? I think the game before the Bills, he had like a really off night, and like anytime he plays a night game, he just doesn't play well. It's really weird.
That's what they say. It's like the thing with Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk Cousins, and stuff like that.
But to have a player like Justin Jefferson, who is going to make Kirk Cousins look as good as he does, like I'm just personally impressed with them. And if a team out of the Midwest is going to do it, I would prefer it be, obviously I want it to be the Bears, but it can be the Vikings. Like I can live with that, as long as it's just not the Packers. Fuck the Packers. Like, and then after the Vikings at number 3, I have the Bills, because I am confident Josh Allen is going to be probably the standout quarterback overall. At first, I was thinking Pat Mahomes, but just watching the way Allen has played recently, it's impressive. And, he's just like, he's a tank of a quarterback that when he needs to run, he's like a very dangerous person to go against.
Very true.
But he has had those moments where he's kind of collapsed under pressure recently. So, like, it's not enough for me to think that, oh man, like, he's not that guy, because he is that guy.
Yeah, of course he's that guy. And what spot is that you have the Bills at?
3.
3, okay.
And then number 4, I have the Chiefs, just because, like we kind of brought up, that race, that new quarterback race of like Mahomes and Allen, like the Chiefs are always going to be like a contender because Pat Mahomes knows how to make it happen throwing it versus like running it most of the time. And especially with them losing like their star-stud receiver, like Mahomes has like made it work because he's still got Kelsey.
That's what makes him the best. That's what makes him the best, because you expect when he loses somebody like Tyreek Hill, you expect a significant drop off. Not that he's going to be bad, but just like any quarterback losing a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, that should impact. That was like his main target. Also, it's not like he was evenly distributing it. He was throwing it to Tyreek Hill all the time.
Right.
Of course, it was fair skepticism that he would keep up the same numbers, but it's
right. And that's not to say like the receivers he has now aren't good, because Tooney coming to Kansas City was probably the best thing for Tooney's career, because you could already see that connection him and Mahomes have, because Tooney had like a dirty catch the other day. And then also, like, Valdez-Scantling isn't an amazing receiver, but I mean, he's a solid like wide receiver 3 where
A little inconsistent.
Yep, and then obviously Kelsey. Like, you still have your number 1 tight end and like the number 1 tight end overall.
Receiver, he's probably, I don't know. Like, if we're ranking receivers right now, which we're gonna do in a bit. I mean, you put him at like right outside of top 5 receivers. Like, I believe it,
Right.
like 6 or 7.
And then at number 5, I'm a little torn on this because I have 2 teams tied, and
I almost had a tie, but I had to break it.
And it's the Ravens and the Dolphins.
Ooh, that's a good tie.
Like, both teams, if anything, I think the Ravens are underperforming as a team overall. I think they're still a great team, but like, I know they can still like dominate more than they are. And the thing is, you know, they rely on Lamar Jackson a lot, and for good reason. He's a very good athlete. Sometimes he doesn't have the best like on the run throw.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like a situation like Kansas City where his number 1 receiver, or the guy he's going to go to, Mark Andrews, is tight end. If Mark isn't able to get open, like,
only reliable receiver. It is his only reliable receiver. And, you know, he's a tight end, so it can't be open every time.
Right. But that defense has always been pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Baltimore defense. They should be. They haven't been as impressive as they ought to be, though.
Right. But then I also thought of the Dolphins, who I'm like, you guys are actually kind of performing above expectations. You brought in this kind of new, young, sort of unproven head coach in Mike McDaniels. And you also have Tua, who, after the previous season's performance, wasn't like turning heads. They were like, maybe he was just like an impressive college quarterback. Because Tua, right? Yep.
You know, he had that problem, and
then, you know, he also didn't have any form of receivers. His offensive line was just garbage. But then it looks like they made the right moves. The new coaching system is working. Tua and Tyreek Hill as a combo is dangerous, because Tyreek has been blowing up in fantasy without even really scoring any touchdowns.
Yeah, he's not high on the touchdown ladder when it comes to receiving, but he's number 1 in passing or receiving yards.
Right.
By a lot. And that's the thing, the separation he gets.
Oh yeah.
He's just an amazing receiver for being so small. He does like everything correctly. Like, right. He does the things a tall receiver should do. He does the things the small receivers do. Like, he's just the best all around receiver. That the touchdown stat might be the most wildest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like,
well, like, I guess another wild thing technically is that the 49ers are doing pretty damn well. I would probably put the 49ers at, like, if we're doing like a top 10, I'd put them at like 8. Because they're able to like still pull off these games with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think at the time when I like noticed this, so like 2 games ago, he hasn't had a receiving touchdown throw. But yet again, it's just like, how is this happening?
I can't remember the exact stat, but it was the 49ers are like, I don't know. The stat was something crazy. It was like 11-3 or 9-3 on games that Jimmy Garoppolo does not throw a touchdown pass.
Yep. Because they beat the Packers. They knocked out the Packers without throwing a single receiving touchdown.
Oh man, in this day and age, how does that even work?
But yeah, those are my 5.
That's a good 5. Very different from my list. Very different. I think the closest thing on the list is where the Eagles are, but I didn't have them at number 1. So
Okay.
We'll find out now, and I'll start from number 5. I have the Minnesota Vikings at number 5.
Okay, yeah.
Almost left them out and was thinking about the Ravens. I don't know. Tampa Bay is looking good, but I got to see a couple more games. And then the Ravens, it's only Lamar Jackson. That's the entire offense, and they're not going to win any playoff games like that at all.
Nope.
So they're out, and I can't, deny the Vikings anymore. And it's mostly because of Justin Jefferson. Like this man is playing out of his mind. But I can't put too much faith in them I can't put as much faith in them as you are, because the games they've won by 3, like less than 7 points. Like there's not many games. They beat Green Bay their first game. I think it was like 23-7. And that was like the biggest margin. And then like the Bears, they won by like 3 points. The Lions, they won by like 3 or 4 points or something like that. Like, and it's just consistent with them, these lucky games. And then they got blown out by us, the Eagles. So that's number 5 for me. Number 4, the Bills. And it's not. And I guess it may be a little bit unfair to them the way I'm ranking them right now, but I guess not, because they Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I can't. Yes, he's that dude. I can't take away from him being a great quarterback.
Yeah, right.
How many Super Bowls are you going to win with a quarterback that throws an interception in late games in the red zone?
Right.
Like he's leading in interceptions. It's just not going to work in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl if they get there.
Right, and I really think it's part of kind of the whole football culture of Buffalo team as it is now, where they want to be high risk, high reward.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's specifically Josh Allen, which is showing an extreme case of like selfishness.
Oh yeah, like that.
Doing that in those times, it's like the one thing you shouldn't do as a football player, as a teammate, is give the ball to the other team. By all means, you keep the ball no matter what we have to do.
Right.
Like, we can win this game, and you're trying to get glory. Like, he's glory versus like the safe play and the victory. In those moments, I don't think it's intentional. It just happens to him. He gets swept up, and it's consistent.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a big problem with the Bills, and like the thing that's keeping them from being higher up on like anybody else's list, is the inconsistent use of a run game, because Josh Allen does most of the running.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an inconsistent run game. It's an inconsistent use of their backs.
Yep. Like, because for Singletary not to be more of a dominant running back it was kind of surprising.
Yeah. And I'm gonna let you say that and not me because he's on my fantasy team and I don't want to sound biased. God, it's driving me nuts. Ugh.
Yep.
All right, so let me move on to my number 3 on the list, which is the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
And, it's Tua on paper has been the better quarterback between him and Josh Allen. Like, yeah, that's just where it is. I don't want to ruffle no feathers. I know. I got friends from upstate New York, diehard Bills fans. Like, I like Josh Allen, and I would like to see him better. But Tua is killing it. It's not even just him. Like, and it's not even just Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Yes, that's a huge part of the reason. But he's making the right decisions. He's winning games. He has like the highest QBR rating for like the past 2 to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So Tua is getting the job done. So that's why the Dolphins are number 3. They are more likely to win a playoff game against, dare I say, Bills, because they beat them this year already, showing they can. And now they're playing better since that game, or maybe just playing more consistent since that game. And number 2, my Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
It would have been number 1. They were for me, and we lost to the Commanders. And it's a wake up call. Mm-hmm. Letting us know where our weakness is, that run game. Like, to do something about that, especially come playoff time. But I'm not worried about it now. We're making moves like I don't usually see the Eagles make during the season. Like when something goes wrong, we sign players. We just got Sue. So yeah, I mean we're looking very good. We're looking, if anything from that last game, like I got more impressed from Jalen Hurts. I almost said Jalen Waddle. From Jalen Hurts, because he was the only reason we were in that game. The only reason. And if you say the Commanders came in and beat us, I mean, we hurt ourselves. Those calls.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna get calls on right here, although like he tripped the shit out of him and face mask at the same time. But whatever. But we could have played a lot better. Than we could have scored 35 points, and then put them out of their misery.
Right.
We didn't do that, and so we lost, and that's why we're number 2. And number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs. And it has to be the Kansas City Chiefs because of the combination of Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback in the league by far. Anybody that was thinking maybe Josh Allen is taking that mantle, like clearly that is not the case. That is not the case. Like, Pat Mahomes is still a video game player. Character, and we're all living in his world. That's just how it is. And it doesn't seem like what players they have, who's the running back. It doesn't matter who our receivers are. I mean, credit to Juju and Tooney.
Yep.
But that's all scheme. They gotta do their part and be receivers, but Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. That's what we need. And then like the defense keep playing the way they're playing, and they'll be the number 1. They'll be the number 1 team for years to come, for a while in the AFC.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard to argue. Like they're always going to be a dominant team. And like I definitely remember seeing some of the coaching staff issues, and that always just like made me wonder. I'm like, oh man, is this about to be like a Golden State thing where there's some like internal fighting and like the rest of the team kind of suffers for it now? But yeah, No, they've definitely pulled themselves up from that for sure.
Yeah, I mean they're still rolling as usual. But that's our A&E top 5 power ranking. That's mine, and that was Wisconsin's. Two very different lists. Excuse me. But all right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back, and we'll discuss our top 5 wide receivers in the NFL right now.
That was also kind of challenging.
That was actually pretty challenging as well.
Yeah.
I mean, at first, and then it all came together as well.
Yeah.
But we'll be back. Welcome back to the Nerdcast Podcast.
We have returned.
Still with us? You guys still with us? Sounds good. Thank you for participating. All right, so what we got next for you guys? We got the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL right now. And since you did the honors last time, I guess I will go first this time.
Sounds good.
I will start from number 1 this time. Number 1, no surprise here. I talk about him all the time. Tyreek Hill. Despite his weird touchdown stat line, 4 touchdowns. But Sir Tyreek Hill, let me see. I had him pulled up right here. Yeah, Tyreek Hill with 1,148 yards on the year receiving. Monster year. Probably going to get to 2,000 yards this year, which has never been done. But
good for him.
Yeah,
everyone was questioning that move, and it's worked out well for him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not Devontae Adams, even though he did his first, but but coming in at number 2, I got Stephon Diggs. I know a lot of people think Justin Jefferson is the better, but if you watch these games, Stephon Diggs, he catches with more separation than Justin Jefferson does, and that's more skill, and that just shows the strength he has. Not because Justin Jefferson is fast as hell, like he's beating everybody. Also, he's kind of like Tyreek Hill, but just Stephon Diggs, he just has a little bit more skill at the wide receiver position, in my opinion. And then coming in at 3 is Justin Jefferson. He had the catch of the year, or no, Stephon Diggs had the catch of the year until
Justin Jefferson was like,
Odell, but with people on him, and that's what makes him so great. Like his hands and his ability to catch in, over contact and stuff like that is unbelievable. Like catching in traffic, like he's always covered when he catches and stuff. But that's a part of what makes him number 3. He doesn't get the separation that Stephon Diggs have, and he doesn't get those touchdowns like he does. And number 4, Jalen Waddle.
Waddle, baby.
We got 2 wide receivers from Miami on the same list, same top 5. And I do like what you just said, Waddle, baby. So every time Waddle, baby. And number 5, you can say it's biased if you want. I really don't care. It's AJ Brown. I know he hasn't, caught so many great passes and hasn't done it like he was doing it in the beginning of the year. But that's just how we're playing right now. We're scoring on the ground a lot. Jalen Hurts is using all his weapons, like himself included. I don't know if you saw that first touchdown of his against the Commanders. He started running it and then just threw that thing in there. So great. I love that. And he's just so strong. He's just way too strong. He just babied those 2 receivers. 1 and 2.
He was like, yeah, at Tennessee, he was like, get me somewhere with a good quarterback, and I promise you.
let me eat. That's basically what he was saying. But that's my top 5 wide receivers in the NFL right now.
Well, that's solid. And like mine isn't going to be too different because I also had Tyreek at number 1.
Nice.
Because like he's just an impressive overall player. Like he reminds me of like he's like a more usable Steve Smith Sr.
Yeah. Really good comparison. That's great.
Yeah, and like I'm just constantly impressed with his ability. Like he'll body people up, and I'm like, how the hell?
So tiny. So tiny. Like, it's just incredible.
But I do have Jefferson at number 2, and I totally understand with what you're saying.
It's fair.
But
I don't think either one is a wrong answer.
Right, and but for me, what Justin Jefferson is able to do with who is throwing him the ball, like that, to me shows his skill more as a receiver to be able to adjust himself to like what his quarterback is capable of.
And honestly, I did not take that into consideration. But also remember who Josh Allen was before Stephon Diggs.
Also true.
And then you see what he's doing right now.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of starting to come back out. But, like, I mean, you got he's making Kirk Cousins look like, I mean, Rodgers right now. It's like they switch places like Freaking Friday or something. But, I mean, yeah, that's a great argument.
Yep. And then you have Diggs at 3. I have Waddle at number 5. But number 4 for me, even though it's not like
I knew 5 and 4 were going to be different for us.
He's not impressing a lot necessarily, but he's still like someone that has haunted my football memory and dreams for years, and it's Devontae Adams.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, I saw him up there too. You know, he's I think in most online rankings, he's like right outside 5, like 6 or 7.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is really impressive for him being at the Raiders. You know,
yeah, having like
scrub, but you know they're not consistent.
No, like I don't know what happened because that was supposed to be a really great setup, and someone funny enough, I was just scrolling through like Bleacher Report one day, and someone like made a tweet or like a reference to a trade where the Packers and the Raiders switch quarterbacks. So they trade Rodgers to Oakland and receive Derek Carr.
That'd be crazy.
But then it's like Devontae's like, I can't get away from this dude.
They'll act like nothing happened and be friends again.
Probably. But yeah, like, but yeah. I thought it was like it was a little difficult there with the last two because I was like, man, like I know Devontae is good and he should be higher up on this list, but like they every defense immediately was like, so we're gonna like triple him up because like who else are they gonna throw to?
I mean, but then you look at Tyreek Hill, you look at Stephon Diggs. They switch teams. And they're eating.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like, if Aaron Rodgers wasn't such a greedy,
yes, he is. But I mean, come on now.
And if Rodgers wasn't such a greedy person, he still could have had Devontae. And this Packer season, 100% different.
Yep, I mean that's true, but also Aaron Rodgers did not go to bat for Devontae Adams like he did for Aaron Rodgers.
Right, like actually, Rodgers went to bat for Randall Cobb before he said anything about Devontae Adams. Like Randall Cobb needs his money, and it's like,
why?
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 What are you?
It's
like I just look at that. I'm like, y'all on the DL? Is that what's going on?
Like, what is that? What is up with you guys? He's like, no, that's my best friend. I want him here now.
But yeah, glad we at least that wasn't like super different. But
But you got Jalen Waddle at 5.
yep, because again, man, like it's like that team overall is like just very impressive. I didn't know what to expect from them. I was kind of like and all okay, so it's not that I didn't know what to expect. In my mind, I was like, they're probably gonna have a similar season to the Bears, and they are not.
Nope, not at all. But Jalen Waddle is also one of the fastest people in the NFL as well.
Yeah, he's a speedy dude.
Yeah, that guy is super quick. All right. Well, that's our top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. We're going to take one more quick break, and then we're going to get into these last 2 segments for you guys. All right. Nerd up.
We'll be back.
Woo. Welcome back. All right, let's get this NBA portion knocked out. We got our MVP candidates. I didn't ask you how many you were going to write down. How many did you write down?
Just 3.
Okay, that's funny because I only wrote down 3 as well.
Perfect.
Okay. So who you got on your list? Who are your MVP candidates?
So number 1 for me, no surprise, because this is the only Wisconsin team I'll cheer for besides the Badgers, and it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, he's a beastly man. Like you were kind of talking about earlier, as an overall player and like what he does for the team, like it's just immense, because that depth chart, like you said, there's no one else on that team that gets anywhere close to him. So it's just like, for him to be able to carry an organization like that, and even like if he's injured and he's out, like it's not like the team overall isn't good, but that team is just gonna be dominant with him at the forefront and like running things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I mentioned to you earlier, I had Giannis on my list at number 3. But then I started looking more into his stats and how the season has been going. You know, he hasn't had Middleton there. Their small forward spot is down to the 4th and 5th man. Their 4th man is Grayson Allen, who is somehow starting also at shooting guard. So, you know, they got their 5th man starting at small forward. So I'm kind of inclined to put him at number 1, because when you're talking MVP, you know, I mean, the most valuable player to your team, and like without him, they look like the Knicks. They look like Avs without Donovan Mitchell. They look bad without him. Right. And like I said, they played 15 games. 5 of those 15 games, he led the team in points, rebounds, and assists. Like,
dude, he's the Greek freak, man. Like, he is
the strongest worker in the NBA right now. Like, he puts on a load every single night. And last night, that was funny, but also I felt bad for him because he was in an emotional state. Apparently, you know, and everybody's trying to take away his humble title. And like, he's not a human and can't have moments of, like, you know, anger, can't have actual emotion or whatever. Yeah, he was mad. He pushed the ladder. Oh well, nobody got hurt. Montrezl Harrell was the person that was antagonizing him. And as a Philly fan, yeah, I'm still not a fan of Montrezl Harrell. So I'm inclined to believe that he was not antagonizing him. No, sorry, not going to do that.
No. Yeah, like that isn't God, like that will be his one of like 5 bad marks he'll ever have on his career, if he'll ever have any more. Like, yeah, that's just like someone looking to make a big deal out of nothing. Like,
Whatever. He apologized.
because like you see, because like
He didn't even
Gian,
blame anything.
right, and like Giannis moved the ladder first and then went back to the line to shoot, but then the staff moved the ladder right back to where it was, and then that's when he like kind of pushed it over. I was just like, yeah, I'd be kind of frustrated too after a game like that, where like, yeah, he's putting his everything into it, and it's like,
Yeah.
but that's because he is facing the third person I have on my MVP list, and that is Joel Embiid. Because I think Embiid is a beastly dude. That injury that you mentioned tonight is a scary thing, but the way he's kind of been performing, where without having James Harden, and I think Maxey got his like knee tweaked or something yesterday in the game too. So like Joel had to like step up and be almost at the same level as Giannis to be able to just be like, all right, I gotta carry it.
Yeah.
And he's a better shooter than Giannis too.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy how it happened, because he hasn't been playing basketball that long.
Right.
Most people in the NBA, and he hasn't been shooting that long compared to most shooters in the NBA, and he's got a good 3-point percentage.
Yep. And then my number 2, Luka Doncic. Because number 2.
Well, you got Giannis, Joel.
Joel's my number 3.
Okay, so you have 4. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I have Giannis, and then Luka at my number 2, and then Embiid at my number 3.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I had yours backwards. My bad. Gotcha. So Luka's number 3 on yours.
Luka's number 2. I just said Joel Embiid because they had that game yesterday. That was all.
Oh,
so yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. I got mixed up on you. Yeah, Luka number 2 is it's very fair. I have Luka number 1 in mine.
He makes that Dallas organization relevant.
I mean, he's similar to Giannis.
Yep.
Similar to Giannis. So I'll just jump into it. I have Luka number 1 on mine. And like, he went on that 30 streak. He did not score less than 30 points. I think it was like a 9-game span. 7-game span, maybe.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
And not only that, but he's averaging 9 rebounds, averaging 8 assists.
Right.
I mean, Luka is the real deal. Luka, this might be his year to win the MVP. I don't know why everyone abandoned him, and now they're giving it to Jason Tatum. I mean, granted, they've only lost 3 games.
Right.
Did not crack my top 3, and Giannis is the reason why. Because number 2, I have Steph Curry.
Always a solid and good choice.
People argue that because their record right now, they're 7-9, I believe.
Yeah, but Curry is still Steph fucking Curry.
Yeah. They're not going to be where they are now come the playoffs. So I'm kind of like foreshadowing, and predicting the future that they're going to be in the playoffs and they're going to be a high seed. They're getting all the kinks worked out, getting all their young players to run through the reps, letting them take their lumps, So they'll be good. Curry is once again playing at a maximum level. It's like he hit a second prime. And then number 3, not much discussion because we had a big discussion at the beginning, is Giannis.
Yep.
But like I said, I picked that before I went deeper into his box score, and I saw how much work he's putting in. which is, you know, silly on my behalf because he's always putting in that work.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put him above. I should have put him above everybody because he's averaging 12 rebounds as well and 5 assists. You know,
Yeah,
he may win the MVP this year again as well. So it's going to be a thick race. It's going to be great. We got great NBA.
Yep.
I mean, we've been having great NBA a lot of years recently. But
Right. Well, yeah, I feel like the NBA is getting closer to topping the NFL because, you know, I remember growing up in the 90s, the NFL was like the top thing to watch. And
Yep.
now all of a sudden, like, NBA has become like more of a thing to watch. It's just like, damn.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's our MVP candidates for so far for this year. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll go ahead and end this episode up with our top movie twist, or top twist in general.
Yeah, and I'm excited for this one. I can't wait.
It was last. I was like, oh, we're almost there.
So I guess this will be our disclaimer. Clearly we're going to be talking about twists. We're going to give our list first, and then we'll kind of give our details about it, or like we don't have to give details about every one, but either way.
We'll be explaining, not everyone, but you know, some of these we'll be explaining the plots and the twists too. You know, if we really feel enthused about it.
So, you know, watch with care.
Yeah. You know, if it gets to a movie that you have not seen, then go ahead and just skip past that. You know, go ahead like 2 minutes or so past it. All right, we'll be back. What up, nerds? We back at it. And we have our last segment for the evening. We got our top 8 plot twist.
Yeah, and these are going to be good. I'm curious if there's any like if we have any of the matching ones. That's what I'm most curious about.
We've got to have at least 1 or 2. I know there's tons of movies out there.
All right.
I feel like we may have a couple. Maybe not. But who wants to go first?
I'll go ahead and get it started.
Let's do it.
So the first one that comes to my mind every time I think about like this question, like, you know, which like type of shock and awe thing would you like to relive again? And that for me would be the whole movie, especially the ending of Old Boy.
Ooh. See, I was thinking about this one. I do not have it on my list.
Man, like that movie just blew me away. I was like, holy shit. just to have your like whole life rooted up like that and then taken away, and then you're just thrown back into the world where everything is completely different. Like you've been hidden away for like a decade.
Yep.
And then, oh god, just the way the ending happens where the guy that puts you away helps you fall in love with your daughter that you didn't know, and then like sleep with her. And it's like, oh god damn it. Just like
biggest twist of all twist.
yeah, that was,
I didn't put it on my list.
yeah, that was just like, oh my god. And then another movie, also a Korean movie, is Parasite. And, you know, I kind of didn't have it on my list at first, and then you mentioned it while you were like kind of going through stuff, and I was like, yeah, actually, yeah, that movie is such a it's such a crazy take on like how like people choose to go about their lives, and just how they get themselves intertwined in this family's life, and all of a sudden you realize like there's extra secrets to the house that the family don't know about, and only their old like housemaid knows about. It's like a whole, dude. It's a whole. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is one of the movies I have not seen. I don't really care about spoilers, but I read a little bit about it, and it looks and sounds incredible. I'm going to watch it this week, and maybe this week.
Yeah, that is. Whew, that is such a good movie. But then also another one for me is Cabin in the Woods.
Ooh, great pick.
Dude, that one, I love that horror movie so much. Like, it's so fucking goofy, and it's such a unique take on like what monsters and like nightmares are, and like why they have like a purpose.
Exactly.
I was just like, oh my god. And you know what? If that movie tells you anything, listen to the stoner.
Listen to the stoner. That's great.
So then after that, and this will be the last movie on my list, and that is the first Saw movie.
Ooh, actually, that's one movie I almost picked as well. So we don't have any movie that's the same.
Yep, like just watching Jigsaw stand up at the end, like, what?
I remember being in the theaters when I watched that. I saw that. I was in high school.
And everyone was like, what the?
Just the collective, whoa, what? All
Right.
Theater.
God, yeah. And also just a great like horror movie overall too, because it combines a bunch of terrifying things. But now the rest of these are going to be video games.
All right, let's hear it.
The first video game is BioShock Infinite.
Okay, nice.
So like for that one, the main character you play as Booker, you're basically a private detective that has to go out and try to rescue this girl from like the situation she's been captured and put into. And the guy that is causing all the problems, his name is Comstock. And Comstock is basically like a godly figure in the game to a group of people that live in the sky. They have like this super nice functioning city up in the sky, and Comstock is the one that like raised these people up so they're safe from like whatever may happen on the ground. And the game basically, all of a sudden you're going along as Booker trying to fight Comstock, trying to keep the girl safe. And the game itself already has a bunch of different little twists and turns in it, but the ending of it where it's like, hey, you know the guy you're playing as, Booker, and the guy you're trying to kill, Comstock, you're the same guy. It's just like wait, yeah, it's
I play BioShock, so that sounds
dude,
great.
highly recommend BioShock. It's such a great story-driven like action game.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out. I've definitely heard of it though.
Yeah, BioShock, and specifically BioShock Infinite, super good.
Okay.
And then after that, I have Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Ooh, one of my favorite games of all time.
Yep, just that reveal of you are Darth Revan. It's just like, oh.
Great books. The Book of Revan.
Uh-huh.
Book.
Then after that, I have Red Dead Redemption.
I knew you were gonna pick that game. But that's
And like, I'm gonna combine Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 into the same thing.
Yeah,
But like, oh man, both of those games are just phenomenal, and like the ways they ended and just how they go about getting you so invested in the characters, and then just they're also like, oh yeah, by the way, stab to the heart.
I mean, it was one of my favorite games to this day.
Yep. Dude, yep, so fun. Love the way it's laid out, and it's hard not to enjoy a good Western.
Oh yeah, I mean it's Grand Theft Auto, but Western.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
And then last but certainly not least, and again, this list could go on for forever, but this is number 8, Heavy Rain.
I still haven't played that.
Yo, Heavy Rain is so good.
Yeah, I heard great things about it.
Yeah, no, it's such a fun game. And it's the same people that created the game Detroit Become Human, which is also amazing. I love that game too.
Yes, I played that one.
But yeah, Heavy Rain, man, like it's basically every parent's worst nightmare where like you're out and about and then all of a sudden like one of your kids is gone. Like you're at the mall and you kind of lose track of one and the kid is like taken away. And you play as 3 characters. You play as the dad that had his kid taken. The other one is like a journalist character, and then the third is a private investigator. So, just like Detroit, you choose the options for like speech. You roam around. You try to find things and like choose the best path. And at the end of the game, it turns out your PI character is this like origami killer. The guy that's like kidnapping kids and testing the parents to try to see if they truly love them and are truly willing to sacrifice for them. Because he thinks he's doing like good work. He's like, if these parents aren't willing to do this for the kid, then the kid dies and he doesn't have to worry about being disappointed.
Like,
so, yeah. Oh, and there's actually a 4th character you play as, and that is a FBI detective that has this like kind of virtual assistant system where he can put on these sunglasses and it turns the room into like whatever you want. You pick between different options. I personally always make him end up on Mars. So you literally are sitting there at a desk and you're like, all right, I'm going to choose my setting that helps me best think. So all of a sudden it pops up with like you're on the planet Mars and it's just like the sky.
Nice.
And yeah, it's a very fun, very well laid out game, and just the story itself overall it's heart wrenching.
Nice. I like that. I'm gonna have to play that. I do have it in my library on my PS4, but I just haven't played it. I still haven't played it.
Highly recommend. And it's pretty easy to get through. But yeah,
It's story driven. So
yeah, yep.
Nice. I like it. And that was your last one, correct?
Yep, that was it.
Very good. Heavy Rain. That was a good list. All right, so my list is all movies. Like I said, I just got on there and was looking. I was like, oh, and I just kept going. So my first one, Knives Out.
That is a good one. Yeah, that is a good pick.
So good. I mean, the patriarch, the dad of this, super greedy family dies, and everyone in the house, every family member is a suspect, including the maid. And, the twist was, the granddad, Harlan, he kills himself because the maid accidentally switched up the meds and, getting off meds and, basically ODs and dies. And then he kills himself so she doesn't get framed for murder. But there's a twist on a twist in this movie where one of the sons who wanted the money framed the maid, switched the pill bottle labels so he could OD and die. Like, it was just, I don't know. That movie got a lot of flack, and I didn't see why. I thought it was great.
It's a fantastic movie.
My next pick was Interstellar.
Also a great choice.
It's an awesome movie. I saw that in theaters. It was so good.
Yep.
Who knew? The ghost in the house. The whole time.
Murph, no, Murph.
No, Murph,
Like,
no.
it's like fuck you for making me feel like that.
Jesus. But it was visually pleasing as well. It was so good. And my next one was The Village. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, that is a great M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Jesus, like, and then he gets, like, the whole time, they're like...
Yeah, where they have you so convinced, like, there's monsters, and then all of a sudden...
living in
it's
the
just like,
golden age with, like, no electricity and all this other crap or whatever.
yep.
Like, geez, that movie was crazy. You know,
Dude, that was...
funny
that
thing,
was-
it was, like, not that great of a movie until the end also.
Yeah, because you're like... The twist is what made it such a great movie, because you're like, oh shit, this is like modern days, and these people just don't know it.
There's a car. And my next movie, like I said, I went down the rabbit hole because I was like, I was thinking about, you know, twists that I love, the craziest twist the first time I seen them, no matter how old it was, just like, that was nuts. Fight Club.
Yep.
That was amazing. Like, to this day, like, still, every time I watch that movie, it's like, Jesus, that was just beautiful.
Right. Like, so well done.
If you haven't seen Fight Club, then go see Fight Club. I'm not going to explain it.
Yeah, what are you doing? Just stop watching. Go.
Fight Club, Jesus Christ, and come back and finish. And my next one on the list, going a little bit further back, this one is The Sixth Sense.
That is a great twist ending of a movie.
You remember the first day, like, he's dead?
Yep. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
Because he sees dead people, duh.
And it's just like, it's so convincing that when he's like talking to his wife and it's like, oh, you're just gonna ignore me? Like, okay. Like, what?
That's so crazy. Oh, that's such a good movie. And my next one on the list, you know what? I'm going to save this to last.
Okay.
My next one on the list after that is Gone Girl.
Also a great one.
That movie was so fucking good. I was not expecting to like it that much because, you know, I didn't know anything.
It really makes you just hate people.
Fuck, Jesus. Jeez, if you haven't seen Gone Girl, go see that. That is a ride of a movie, if there is one.
Uh-huh.
And one of my favorite movies of all time, The Departed.
That is, oh my god, the way that movie ends.
It's like, yeah, I mean, you know, it's a twist. Like, the entire movie's a twist, but then the end, it throws you a twist. Like, it's like, you're like, oh, Jesus, Mark Wahlberg.
Just fucking kill me. I am killing you. Door is open.
Like, geez,
I was like,
scared me when it happened. Like,
yeah, I was like, oh.
Nice. All right, and the one I skipped over, it's probably one of the greatest movies and the greatest mind fucks of all time. I forgot existed. Identity. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, I do.
And all right, so I'll explain this one. The plot of Identity. The guests of an interstate motel in the Nevada desert quickly learn there's a homicidal killer amongst them as they're getting knocked off one by one. I know a lot of you is jogging your memories. Like, everybody's seen this movie and you're like, what? Like, my brother loved this movie. And the twist, the murderer is the little boy. You know, out of all these guests, there's I believe it was a mom he was with and the little boy.
Yep.
And the murderer is the little boy, which is explained as we learn each of the 10 strangers stranded at the roadside joint are manifestations of a man who suffers from extreme case of dissociative identity disorder. The boy is one of those personalities. This movie was so beautifully made.
Yep.
It was so good. It's like, It's like when suspense movies were considered as horror movies. Like that.
Yep.
I guess that's a horror slasher, I guess, but like it wasn't.
Right. It was just like, yeah, that movie, man. That definitely that caused some trust issues.
Question my own brain. I'm like, am I not supposed to talk to myself or something? Like,
Yeah,
I'm scared.
like God, yeah, those were all great.
Yeah, like I said, once I saw all the movies, it's like, ooh, that's great. That's good. I mean, I saw some other movies up there. Like, do you remember The Others?
Yep,
That was
dude.
crazy.
I almost put The Orphan on my
I was
list.
just about to say, remember Orphan?
Yep.
That was great. Us.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oof, that's a good movie. Jordan Peele was knocking him out the park.
Right.
Knocking him out the park. I just recently watched what was the most recent one he came out with?
Nope.
Nope. Yeah,
Yep.
that was really good. And I had some friends online, they were like, Nope was ass. And I was like, that movie was not. That was so good. It was very interesting. I just the concept.
Yeah. Like Jordan Peele's mind is just such a crazy thing.
It's God, how does he sleep at night?
Well, like I remember, yeah, and we talked about this before. Like they had an interview where Trevor Noah on the Daily Show interviewed Jordan Peele, and he was like, "Yeah, so like a lot of people think your movie's like really crazy, like kind of creepy, all this stuff." Like, and he's like, "Is it weird that I think they're funny movies?" He's like, "To me, they're funny." He's
Yeah.
like, I think it's funny when people get like scared or upset like that. So
I mean, but that's the funny thing about it. Like, I get on roller coasters and watch scary movies, not because, like, I mean, if you're not scared of them, you're not watching the movie.
right.
Like a sick person just, enjoy watching people die or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I get scared because, like, it's funny when I laugh after I get scared. Like, ooh, that was a close one.
Yeah, it's just like it's just always like, oh, why did I let that happen?
It's like I knew he was going to be behind that door, and I got scared anyway.
And I still do it.
This is great. I love it. Scare me some more, please. I don't know. That's a good segment. I like the idea of those plot twists. Like I said, looking at the list, could have gone on forever and ever. And then like one movie up there, Scream.
Oh yeah, that would be like kind of the classic.
That's a good plot twist. Like, back in the day where you're like, who did it? Like,
Right.
the killer, those teenage slashers. Such good movies. Such good movies. Well, all right, my nerds. That was another episode of the Nerdcast Podcast with your boy Sutton.
And your boy Wisconsin Johnson.
Right. Until next time, nerds. We'll get at you. Peace.